What do you think is the most groundbreaking tech discovery of your life? I'm talking about like when I was like 7 years old, 6, 7 years old, and I went to my parents' old computer and I discovered I could go to this website called google.com, and on Google I could search for anything and it would give me the answer. And before that I was familiar with looking things up in books, but just the concept I could search for something online and get an answer to almost anything, to having the world's information at my fingertips. It was mind blowing. And then I remember again in the sixth grade, I think this is the first time I saw an iPhone. My friend had an iPhone. He opened it after school. He showed me, hey, look, I can connect to the internet with this. I have this app. I can do this. It blew my mind. I'd never seen a phone like that before. I believe that there's another piece of technology like that, and you can probably guess what that is, but I feel like I need to justify myself a little bit here. Because I would say that there's like different groups of people. The first group of people are people who have had the experience, the sort of paradigm shift experience of seeing this thing in action. And then the other group of people, most people, who haven't, or have seen little bits of it, but haven't seen it all the way. And what is that experience? It's like when I discovered Google for the first time, or when I discovered the iPhone for the first time. It was seeing this thing that you previously thought it didn't exist, it's impossible. Fundamentally, now it's a whole new area for growth and research. So, obviously, I think you've guessed what that thing is, but I think most people's view of AI at this point, it's sort of like in between a fad and also sort of a scam and sort of fake and like problematic in all these ways. That's like the normal person, like every man's view of AI, is that it's like overhyped and overmarketed and sort of fake, right? It's basically seen as like the next crypto, which really was kind of all of those things. If you go back, to NFTs, like the metaverse, all of that was basically in hindsight, it didn't amount to much. But it's amazing the degree to which this time it is amounting to something. But that thing is kind of hard to see. I would say that the first group of people, the people who have had the experience, are basically software developers who have put together a setup to where they get the benefits of a tool like Cursor or Cloud Code, and they get to see it in its full power. And then everyone else are people who have just like sort of interacted with ChatGPT, where it's a fun recreational tool, or developers who, for whatever reason or another, have not experienced Cursor or Cloud Code in their fullest powers, either because like their setup at work is not conducive to these tools fully shining. For example, if you're on a really legacy code base with really custom tools that the AI isn't very good at interacting with, a large code base, maybe it doesn't shine. Or maybe you don't do a lot of personal projects as well, so you don't see it shine in that environment. But the context in which it shines is when you know how to code, you're not fully vibe coding, but you trust the tool enough to go let it rip, and it's a fully new project. Everything is pretty vanilla. It's in its full capacity to just do everything from scratch. I think people who have had that experience, it's pretty mind blowing. And by the way, if you're one of the latter kinds of people, there's nothing wrong with you. Even if you're one of the developers who you decided you have no use for AI, fine. Maybe that's just in your role. It doesn't help you that much so far. But just because it's not useful for you, at least not yet, doesn't detract from how mind blowing it is what it can do right now. And I just want to give this impression. I feel like there's all this discussion on will AI automate jobs or will it not? And some of this discussion misses the point because we are already seeing this. I think people are imagining, will it automate, I don't know, sending emails, creating PowerPoints? That stuff is coming, but like we don't have to imagine. Software developers right now, it's like they get a preview on the future. They see the future that's coming, and everyone else is running around like AI is a scam. It's not going to transform the world. But as software developers, people who have had the experience, it's not a question of will it transform the world. We see it there. It works. It's working right now. And it's just a matter of time before you get, instead of having Cursor for your code editor, you have Cursor for slides, for slideshows. You have Cursor for spreadsheets, for doing like data cleanup or cross lookups and that sort of thing. We have Cursor for Microsoft Word. Like, so much work in the economy is just people doing drudge work, moving around little things. There's whole fields called like consulting, management consulting, where people like pixel optimize certain PowerPoint presentations to present to leadership, or investment banking, where there's a lot of, or like accounting, where people look through Excel spreadsheets all day. And a lot of that work is you need to be done by a human, but like 90% of it is very manual. Like, you do Command F and you need to look at some value and you do a fuzzy match, and you need to find one value somewhere else in the Excel spreadsheet, and you need to automate that, but it's difficult. With AI we can automate that. And sales is making more PowerPoints, is making Microsoft Word documents, all of that. It's coming for that, but we know it will eventually come for that, because it's here in the form of code editors. And what really sold me on this is seeing some of the investment plans that the AI companies are already making. So I saw this one graphic was showing this is how much that this is how much data centers or compute is like currently devoted to AI training right now. Here's how much is projected. Here's the data center build out. And it's mind blowing. It's like 20x what we have now, or something like 10x what we have now. You see, wow, given the state of AI what we have now, and in 5 years, here's what it's projected to be. Here's the investments that are already planned. Here's the construction already underway. Here are the investments already made. And as long as that plays out, we're going to get that. And I get that it's not linear. It's not like you can straight like build more data centers and get a linear output. But if that manifests even slightly, it's not a question anymore. Like, it's automating a bunch of jobs. But I feel like it's also not automating jobs. Like, do I feel like my job in my doing software development, is that automated? No, I still have a job. And so it's not really automating jobs. It's just making a lot of jobs high leverage. And so the economic theory about what happens when you introduce a labor-saving tool in the economy is that for workers who remain in that industry, their wages go up because they're more productive. However, there can be layoffs, and the degree to which there are layoffs depends on, I guess, the elasticity of demand for the goods and services produced by that industry. And I think for software, that's pretty elastic. But being more specific, I think that it's pretty flexible. Like, as we get more and more productive in these tools, there's still going to be demand. I don't think we're going to actually see fewer software developers. We might see fewer people in some roles, but I think broadly speaking, it's not like going to take all jobs. Or I think it's just going to make us more productive and more high leverage. If you think to what you're doing in your job, 90% of it is probably like grunt work, stuff that AI can automate, and then 10% is like the high leverage stuff you have to understand. Probably you're still going to do some of that 10%, right? And eventually maybe AI super intelligence will come for that last 10%, but who knows, right? I don't want to project that far in the future. Let's just focus on what we know will happen. So, yeah, it's getting crazy. I don't know what to say. Like, I remember a place I used to work, they were debating whether or not to give software developers like a $20 a month Cursor subscription. And I was like thinking, guys, come on, like $20 a month? I feel like I'm going crazy a little bit here. In the future, it's not going to be $20 per employee per month. In the future, it's going to be like 30% of all of the corporate money that goes towards that employee. It's going to go towards AI tools for that employee. So if you make, I don't know, $100,000, it's going to be like 20%, 30%. It's going to be like you're spending $40,000 on AI tools. That's where we're going. That's where it's headed. It's like 40% of your income. If it is to be believed, the claims of the AI companies that are trying to justify that level of investment, because let's be real, like given how much we're investing, it needs a pretty high payoff for that to be realistic. The only world in which that is realistic is where the companies spend higher and higher budgets on these tools, on inference essentially. But I think that's coming if you see how powerful these tools are and how much they increase the leverage of any given employee. Like I mean, I think it's already happened for some employees. Like I know people who use AI to such an extent, it's like prompting it 100 times a day. The company's probably already paying a bunch of inference there. Uh, you can basically do your job on your phone at this point as long as you hook your phone up to a terminal and you're quick for typing on your phone. If you can type quick enough on your phone and you understand code well enough and you have a good enough mental model of your repository, you can speed through that. It doesn't matter if it's on your phone, it doesn't matter anywhere. So it's a complete new paradigm shift for not just software development, but it's coming for everything.